Mortis, the Unholy Trinity is finally out, and just in time for Halloween. And this retro horror game is definitely one full of scares and plenty of Mortis. Faith the Unholy Trinity is a collection of all three chapters of the game. There is no gameplay connection between the three, but the story obviously continues through each chapter. We play as John, a priest who, after attending an exorcism, finds himself haunted by demons, nightmares, and that there may actually be a demon trying to get into our world and cause the end of it. And only armed with his faith and his ever-ubiquitous cross that apparently is really good at fighting demons, he sets out across the three chapters to try and figure out what is going on. Each chapter itself is played very similarly, but they were each developed kind of at different periods, with the first one being the earliest and number 3 being the latest. And you can see that in the evolution of the growth of the gameplay and the mechanics. First off, I love the aesthetic of this game. As you've been watching the footage, this is all done 8-bit style with a incredibly haunting text-to-speech program. Each chapter has you investigating different set areas. The paths through the game are linear, but there are secrets and different endings to uncover. The game makes brilliant use of rotoscoping for its various cutscenes that add to the creepiness. In terms of the actual gameplay, you're going to be just walking around. Your only tool is your cross, which is used for both puzzle solving and for fighting enemies. Most of the enemies you can keep away or keep them away from you using your cross, but most of the time you're going to have to dodge and get out of the way, as any hit in this game is death. As you explore, you'll uncover more of the lore of the game, all kinds of notes as well. Now, in terms of difficulty, the game can definitely vary, and this is one of my few issues I have with the game that we'll come back to in a minute. Each chapter will have numerous checkpoints that will gate you from various aspects of it, and this game does feature a lot of point of no returns in terms of trying to uncover the secrets or hitting collectibles. In terms of the creep factor, this game definitely has jump scares, and if you aren't a fan of those, you probably don't want to play this game. But it does a really great job of setting the mood and the momentum that the story builds to. And it's a perfect game to play right around Halloween. With that said, however, some of the fear tends to lead to some frustration in a few aspects, some gameplay related and some technical. And I want to talk about that next, but we're going to take a quick break first. And as always, if you're interested in my thoughts on design, then check out my game design books. For entry-level students, we have 20 Essential Games to Study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with more coming soon. When it comes to Faith itself, there aren't a lot of issues that I have from a gameplay perspective. This is one of those titles that where what you see is what you get, and you're either going to be all in for all 3 chapters right at the start, or you're going to bounce off of this game for whatever reason. With that said, as I said before we got to this section, I do have a few issues, and please keep in mind that what you're seeing and what I'm talking about is based off of the first week of this game, so there is a good chance that there have been updates or patches by the time you're watching this, or you're watching this video in the future. The first thing is that on your first playthrough, the game definitely sets its mood and kind of guides you through its various story elements beat by beat. However, if you're trying to replay this game for either the collectibles or bonus endings, it can become a bit frustrating. There is no way to skip or speed up any of the dialogue or cutscenes. Again, on your first playthrough, not so bad, but when you are either stuck at a particularly nasty section, or you're just trying to get to the next because you've beaten the game already, this can become frustrating. There is no way to kind of move in or forward or reverse in a chapter. Whenever you start the chapter, it will erase your previous save. So you will have to collect all the MacGuffins and do everything all over again. And again, it's not so bad in the first chapter, but with the greater levels on complexity and size in chapters 2 and 3, this can become annoying. Speaking about that, the puzzle difficulty in this game kind of varies. Some of these puzzles are very easy, while some of them feel a little bit more extreme for this kind of game. There's a lot of parsing of clues within the notes themselves, and it can be very easy if you're not paying attention to miss a vital clue inside one of those notes. Now, with the actual combat difficulty, this is going to greatly vary based on your own skill at this game. But one of the things that can become frustrating is that enemies more often than not are going to be faster and more reactive than what you can do. You do not get any kind of dodge or additional movement tag. It's simply walk, use cross. And there are some cases where if the enemies are coming at just the right angle, there's just no way for you to get out of the way, considering the size of their hitbox and the rate that you move. And this can become frustrating during some of the quote-unquote boss fights. The final map, or final big encounter in this game in particular, can get annoying because of that. Now, in terms of the game as a whole, there's not really, I would say, any one particular section other than maybe a few of the boss fights that kind of feels a little spiky in terms of difficulty. But as we get into chapters 2 and 3, I noticed that some of the checkpointing becomes a little less focus. As in, you're going to be in these areas where you have to accomplish like 2, 3, maybe sometimes 4 different tasks. And if you die during any one of those, you have to repeat all the steps prior. And as I said, it's not so bad in the first chapter, even in the second one, but it definitely affects things more in the third. And when you combine this with the fact that you cannot just easily get back to your point, or you have to watch and listen to the cutscenes again, can become a bit frustrating. And I do hope that, again, like some of this gets updated and patched by the time you're watching this. I did run into only one real kind of soft lock that occurred in Chapter 3, which I am fairly sure by now it has been reported and is either fixed or is going to be fixed. With that said, the game itself, or the games themselves, are on the shorter side. If you're not going for 100%, you should be able to get through all 3 chapters, maybe within like an afternoon or an evening of terror. But for fans wanting to see more, there is certainly a lot here, and I do hope we see more in terms of additional content. Although, again, with this game being in development for so long, I'm sure the developer is probably ready to move to or have a little 8-bit vacation at this point. With that said, when it comes to Faith the Unholy Trinity, this is a really solid horror game, and it proves, I think, once and for all that you can do horror and terror without needing super powerful engines and 4K or 4K HD graphics. And that sometimes you just need someone screaming Mortis in your ear to ratchet up the tension. So with that said, thank you for watching this review. Be sure to do all the liking, subscribing, and commenting. Check out the Discord and Patreon link down below, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on Game Wisdom, where we mortise and examine the art and design of games.